Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Sharon Attipoe-Dorcoo, Principal of TERSHA LLC, and I like to describe myself as first and foremost grounded in my cultural identity. As a Ghanaian American, you can see from my headgear, and if I were to do a physical description for any accessibility needs, I'm a Black woman wearing glasses, and today I'm wearing a shirt with blue stripes, horizontal stripes through it, and a necklace on. But like I was saying, in terms of my identity, I'm wearing my headgear, which represents the kente cloth from Ghana. I also do embrace the other intersectional facets of my being, which is I'm a wife, mom in my work. In terms of work, formerly I was a former board member of Academy Health, which is a nonprofit, which I'm actually going to highlight in today's presentation as it relates to resources for researchers. I used to sit on the board, first ever student board member, and currently I'm on the Education Council. I'm also an author of a children's book, a poet, and a consultant. I own my own consulting firm, TERSHA LLC, which is the logo you're seeing in the background. And for more accessibility descriptions, my background currently is blue to just plain blue with the TERSHA logo highlighted to just kind of have that be prominent in my background. What else about me? So I'm also a member of Advancing Culturally Responsive and Equitable Evaluation Network, partner with a number of Black, Brown, and Indigenous evaluators for us to, through thought leadership in the field, or really have that practice, pre-practice, culturally responsive and equitable evaluation, be really a practice, a daily practice in how we do our work. I do have certification in diversity, equity, and inclusion from the University of South Florida. I teach. I'm an adjunct professor at Texas Women's University, and honored to be part of the inaugural cohort of OPED Public 2022 Public Fellows to the OPED Project in partnership with Academy Health. And really at the heart of it, as a community scholar activist, as I like to describe myself in the work, I found my path from engineering to public health. And my work really involved engaging and still involves engaging national mobile clinic programs. I usually do my work grounded in my vision of culturally responsive and equitable tools for co-designing both research and evaluation initiatives with communities. So I'm very much, as it relates to engaging communities, very much from a design perspective, having them be partners in the process. I do a number of speaking and facilitation, so presented at conferences, number of publications, and what brings me joy is being able to chair and serve as advisors for a number of entities and during trainings. So I say all of that because it's important to know who it is and why, and that gives me the credibility to be able to speak with you about pulling resources together. To be honest, when I started doing this, I never thought of myself being the voice that actually shares with other researchers what resources are out there. But I guess throughout my journey, it's become very critical to have that be part of my growth because it's allowed for me to tap into a lot of various resources that I would never have if I didn't actually take this intentional approach, for lack of better words, to be able to tap into these things. Additionally, I'm always reminded of one of the advices a friend of mine gave me, which is when something comes across my desk, there might be a universal reason for it, divine perhaps. So it might not necessarily be for my path. There's a number of things that come across my path. I don't qualify for them, but they actually serve others in my network. So being able to have, for example, Association for Black Researchers be that funnel to be able to ensure that these resources reach and meet the needs of other individuals has actually brought me a lot of joy. So a quick few things about my journey. So before I start about my journey, just to level set. So basically a number of resources that will be shared in addition to this presentation with you all, really highlighted into different categories, right? So these categories can range from, or they do range from things like listservs. So for example, a number of them are consultant and career newsletters. So Live Consulting and Career Services is one who is a great, Live Consulting is a great partner with Association for Black Researchers. There's also Women of Color, Advancing Peace, Security, and Conflict Transformation. That is a great one that has a ton of information as it relates to jobs, fellowships, and opportunities. So I highly encourage folks to join that listserv. There's also NIH Black Scientists Network listserv. Again, a number of opportunities there. So those are just a handful of listserv resources. And the other resource or list of opportunities for folks to leverage or resource are fellowships and trainings. And these run a gamut. We have the Scoville Peace Fellowship, and I'm not going to go into so much detail because we actually have links that are provided to you as well. NIH has a number of training opportunities. I personally went through a fellowship with the CDC through the RISE fellowship, so that's one that I highly recommend. And I recently had the fortunate, path to explore the National Academy of Medicine and what it is that they offer to researchers. So I am going to provide that as a resource for potential fellowships that people can explore. Let's not forget things like conferences. I mentioned Academy Health. They have annual conferences, and I've attended a number of them, engage with other researchers in the field, and also the annual Biomedical Research Conference for minoritized scientists is a great one. And as you do your work as researchers, we're always looking for toolkits, right? The community toolkit or community toolbox is one of these fundamental ones, especially as it relates to doing research with communities using community-based participatory methods. I want to highlight one more category, and that is network. So this can be from social media groups to professional organizations. There's a Black doctoral network. We know how that can really foster belonging, especially for us as who identify as Black researchers, Black men in clinical research, Black women in clinical research. STEM Noir, I already talked about Academy Health. And if you kind of tread the path of research and evaluation, highly recommend American Evaluation Association. I do belong to that association as well. Really great people in terms of being able to connect with like-minded folks. So those are, in a nutshell, the main highlights. Like I said, we're going to have details actually handed to you in terms of links, so you can go ahead and explore, but I wanted to highlight some categories for you to start off with. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit now just to talk about my personal experience, how networking, mentorship, and all these resources, like I said, have had an impact in my life. So to start off or to level set, I don't define success as something linear. It has definitely been what I call a journey. I started off not even in the research space, more engineering focused way of how I started my background, or how my background started. Did my bachelor's in biomedical engineering with a minor in chemical engineering. There was always this piece around, even though the training I received was systems focused, and as a designer at heart, a systems designer at heart, it sat very well with me, but there was also always that missing connection of people. I did think about pre-med, so there was a pre-med track that I pursued and then did consider going to medical school. But I always say that when the universe speaks, I listen. So I took the GRE, I'm sorry, not the GRE, the MCAT one time. Didn't do so well, and I took that as a sign that that's not what I needed to do with my life, which is great because I so cherish that decision in terms of my path now and where I've sort of found myself career-wise. I will say that throughout my journey, though, a few things gonna help tell my story, which is at the heart of it is being able to craft community. So community in various aspects from the personal side to if you think about mentoring and really building networks and relationships around your career journey, how critical those were. I tapped into those not as early as I would love to. I always say that if I'd known about just the impact of networking, I would done that a little bit more when I was getting my bachelor's in engineering. And although each of us, our journey is our own to embrace, those lessons actually allow for us to have that fuller picture and story of our lives. So all of those were learning experiences for me. But I'm so grateful that when I discovered that path, I still went into my, I got my master's in science, ended up switching gears and getting a master's in public health, which brought me here. So shifting from that engineering space into public health, mentorship and supporting community really allowed for me to thrive in that area. And that actually supported how I decided to make decisions, among other things, right? And on a personal level, I had the support I needed from my family, my husband, and I actually already had kids before I went into grad school or pursue my PhD rather. And that's just the thinking about that support alone was able to strengthen how I was able to approach how I saw that journey and getting through and getting my PhD in policy all the way through to what I currently do in my work and centering again that full circle, starting and embracing how community was impactful in my personal and career journey to how I have that reflected in my work with communities and working with communities as partners is all a critical aspect of my journey. And so I hope I've been able to tell you about how this interconnection with my identity and how it flows into my journey throughout getting my degree all the way through my career and the impact of having the intersectional ways of being, right, from my family and how that informs or informed my early career paths into how it's informing how I work now, and also thinking from a legacy perspective. What is it that I want to create in the world for my kids as a person who, or a mama who really has that future forming thinking of what the world looks like for my children. So I really just want to summarize very quickly. I know it's a quick rundown of the resources, sharing a little bit about who I am and what actually gives me the experience or the lived experience to talk about what I've shared in terms of resources and also a little bit about my journey and how there's this interconnectedness of networking and having that strength of community built into my path, be it through mentoring, be it through just having peers, right, whom you can go through the graduate school journey with, and how that feeds into the bigger passion that I have on engaging communities in my work as partners. I am so grateful for the Association of Black Researchers for always having me be a voice in part of the programming for all researchers across the nation, I think globally even. Dear friend Leonora, always grateful for our conversations and be able to share our wisdom across. It's bi-directional in terms of what I learned from Leonora and what I am able to share as well. Just grateful for my community, right, from both the family and personal side to all my mentors and my career and the folks in the career space who are always there and supporting me into growth from one stage of my career to the next. So in gratitude and thank you all for watching. Please reach out. I'll have my contact information available. So please reach out with any questions and any support I can provide to you all. Thanks again.